360-degree woods. That's where you find me today, in the woods. It is autumn. The leaves are changing. They're falling down. Everywhere you can see is just leaves and colours and wood, trees. It's got everything. So the plan was this morning to wake up early, go get some pictures, hopefully a bit of mist, but I've not been sleeping well lately, and I didn't get to sleep till too late, and then I just overslept. I didn't want to wake up. I'm not naturally a morning person anyway, but there we go. So I thought I'm still going to venture out. I'm going to go to the woods. I'm going to do a bit of recceing, and also I thought I'd do a little comparison between some filters I got. The heavens have opened up now. But before I get into what filters I'm going to compare, I just want to point out something, and that is that not all filters are made from the same stuff. In fact, I feel it's quite misleading that some companies would use the term... Well, I just need to make a note there. I've been using the wrong term while I've been doing this video. I keep saying optical glass instead of organic glass. So every time I say optical glass, I mean organic glass. Okay. Optical glass, when it's not actually glass. It must be on some level technically glass for them to use this term, but optical glass is actually resin. You know, it's different to actual glass, and for many years I was misled by this what do you call it? This naming issue. So yes, you've got resin filters and you've got glass filters. So just be careful when looking at the information, whether it says optical glass or something more like Scott glass, which is an actual high quality glass. Yes. Let's talk about what filters I've got. So obviously I've mentioned you have the optical glass type filter. I have two examples of this. First of all, in this pouch here are the first filters I ever bought. What did I pay? About £30 off eBay, I think. I think that's just I don't actually know what make they are. I've got a feeling they're like really cheap Cokin ones, and it came with the filter holder and everything. Obviously they're not the biggest. They're designed for small mirrorless cameras, these ones. But these were my first foray into the world of filters, and for £30 you've got a whole range. What have I got? About 6 or 7 different filters here. ND grads, like a 3 stop, a 6 stop. So for 30 quid and a filter holder, it's not bad. So these are plastic, basically. Optical glass. I don't know if they referred to that on the website or the eBay listing at the time, but to be honest, I didn't know what I was going to get. But yeah, optical glass. Then I also have by a company called Raymasters, which I think are based in like Eastern Europe, Poland, I think, something like that. I have a more decent size 100mm, 150mm optical glass ND grad, soft grad this one. Yet again, plastic basically. Optical resin. Yes, the Raymasters Zero, this one. And then onto the real hardcore stuff, glass. So I bought, after that cheap filter kit, I decided straight away it wasn't good enough for what I needed. As we'll probably see, I invested in some Nisi proper glass filters. Not cheap, but you do get what you pay for when it comes to filters. I definitely think that's true. So, I've got a range of Nisi glass filters. You can hear the difference there. Proper bit of quality glass there. And then annoyingly, I broke, first day of using my Nisi filters, I dropped my soft grad. That smashed. Yeah, that was annoying. So I actually bought that Raymasters in an attempt to look for a budget replacement. I was hoping it might be good enough. And then more recently, there was a deal on the Firecrest ND, it says on it, which is glass. Obviously it's a bit shorter, but yeah, it's about 25mm shorter. Hear that glass. Scott glass again. These Nisi filters and this Firecrest are Scott glass, proper quality glass. Yeah, so I got a deal on that for about 50 quid. I think it's just like old stock. So those are the filters. Here's the test, here's the setup. I have a camera on a tripod, and it's not the greatest composition, but it's just something to illustrate what I would typically use an ND filter for. We have got quite alright lit, is enough light, but then we have a big contrasting light sky there. We've got a large dynamic range we're going to deal with, so we would use the ND filter, in this case a soft grad or a hard grad, to reduce the amount of light in the sky, bring it down so we can reduce that dynamic range, so the camera, we can take that all in one shot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a shot without any filters on, just straight through the lens. Got it focused on f11, so we've got a massive depth of field. And really what I want to test and compare is the optical quality of these filters. I'm not too interested in the graduation between the dark area and the light area. I'm interested in optical quality. Does the filter introduce any white balance issues or tinting issues? Things like that. That's what I want to test. So I'm going to take a shot with no filter as our control, and then I'll go through, take shots with each filter, and then we'll get back on the computer and compare them. And it started to rain again. Great. F11, ISO 50, and we are 1/15th of a second. And we've got a massive dynamic range. So I'm going to use, this ain't going to work, is it? In the rain, I need to wait. It needs to stop raining. This will just not work, will it? Turn it off. The rain has seemingly passed. I'm going to retake my control shot. So I'm underexposing by 1/3 of a stop. F11, ISO 50, 1/30th of a second. No water on the lens, no rain on the lens to distort any results. Manually focused. Boom. Right, that's our first shot. Right, make sure this filter's clean. Obviously, I don't have a filter holder for this small one. This cheap Kokin one, I think it is. So I'm thinking I'm just going to hold it over, and that'll give us as good as we're going to get. So that is our 4 filters that I've gone through. Now what I'm going to do to test them to the extreme is put on the 70 to 200, zoom into 200, and then basically we're zooming in any imperfections in the filters, we're zooming in on, so they're going to be expounded, those imperfections, so it'd be easiest for us to tell any quality optical differences between the filters. So swap lenses. That is our filters compared. Time to pack up and go home. So here we are using Capture One because it's better, okay? And we have 5 shots here. We have number 1, our control. But before I tell you which filters are which photograph, I want you just to kind of look at them and compare and see, is there much difference between them? Because on the face of it, there's barely anything. The only one that has the strongest colour shift is number 2 here. You can see in the clouds, the white of the clouds, they're not white, they've got blue introduced into them. Touch of magenta, it seems to me. But the rest of them look tasty, if I can put it that way. You'll notice down here I've got the histogram and then the colour balance. So if I go through them, that's our control. We can see the histogram here, Kelvin, temperature and the tint. Number 2 there, the white balance is the nearest to the control. Number 3 here, obviously a lot cooler, is having to warm it up more and less tint. Number 4, it's not far off the control. And number 5 here is our second most nearest to the control when it comes to white balance there. Same tint and then just slightly warmer on the Kelvin. So there we go. That's, on the face of it, the difference is there. Let's zoom in. So optical quality, we are at 100% here, and on all of them they look sharp. Sharp, sharp, sharp. You can see a slight blur here, but I will put that down to the fact there was a gentle breeze and we've got a fairly slow shutter speed. Keep in mind these are shot at 24mm. I've compensated the exposure, the slight differences in exposure, and on the control I've added simulated grad just to help us compare. Colour wise as well, zooming in here, 100% again, the colours barely shift between them. Even number 2, which had the colour shift in the clouds there, but the mid-tones and the shadows look exactly the same to me. Let's zoom right in there, 400%, they all look sharp, colours all look good. So on the face of it, I could really recommend all of these filters. Now let me take you through. So we've got a control number 1. Number 2 is our cheap eBay filter, which probably cost me the equivalent of £1. So for £1, you can't go wrong for £1, can you? If you've never bought filters, that kit for like 13 quid, it's a good start. It's going to help you get an idea of what filters you'd like to buy when you get serious, how to use them. And yeah, you know, and then you could start playing around with long exposures and things, and helping you balance the scenes with the graduated filters and so forth. Number 3 is our Raymasters Zero, which, as you can see, really didn't introduce much colour shift at all. Optically, for a resin filter, was really good. Number 4 is our Firecrest ND, which it states on the website the world's most neutral ND or something to that effect, and I would say that's pretty true. You know, there's no colour shift that I can notice. And finally, our Nisi filter, which is one I've used the most and I know and rely on, and I've never had a problem with it. So this was the result I expected from this filter, and really I would happily use any one of them, really. Regards workflow, I prefer to use one that has no colour shift or minimal colour shift, because it's one less thing to think of and worry about. I have used the Raymasters a few times, and cool scenes with water, and at blue hour and things, I have noticed more of a colour shift. So it's just a case of correcting the white balance. But in this scene it did absolutely fine. Now, these were all shot at 24mm, and when you shoot at 24mm, any filter or anything you put in front of the lens, any impurities in that lens, that glass, that resin, optically will be minimalized. The problem comes when you zoom in. So let's look at these ones I zoomed in at 200mm. So we're basically zooming in on a small area of the filter, and straight away, number 2, the cheap eBay filter, just looks like mush, doesn't it? It's created a blur that is just not usable at all. The Raymasters, the Firecrest and the Nisi all look as good as a control, but that is zoomed out. So let's zoom in. There's a bit of tree here that is a good comparison, and obviously number 2, you can't even tell what that is. That's just unusable so much. Number 3, which is our Raymasters, for a resin filter, I feel like that has done extremely well. I did not expect it to be that good for resin. It is not far off the control, and depending how big you printed that out with, that is usable. Number 4, the Firecrest, is the one I'm actually the most disappointed in. It is the most expensive, about £160. And while it looks fine zoomed out, you zoom in 100%, to me that is just not usable at all. It is nowhere as good as that Raymasters. And then finally, the Nisi is let's really zoom in. There's a control there, top left, and our Nisi here, our Raymasters, and really between the Nisi and the control, it is negligible. There is nothing to compare it. No difference really. And the Raymasters is obviously, it's not as sharp, but for £50 it is extremely good value, that Raymasters, for a resin filter. I would be very happy using that. Yeah, so let's zoom up here. We can see here on the Firecrest that it is, I mean, you could put that down to the wind moving. I took a couple of shots of each, and these were the best from each one. So I don't think that is any motion shift. That is from the glass itself just not being optically good enough. You can see it's not like a blurred movement, it is two, you've literally got two images kind of out of focus kind of look from that. So yes, disappointed in the Firecrest. It is not good enough. Whereas the Nisi, blimey, that is literally perfect. You could really use that no problem. My time in the woods has finished. I'm gonna head home, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully there was some insight that we shared, and I bet you didn't expect them results, did you? By the way, I'm recording this before I actually know results, so just kind of assuming there'd be a real shock, a real humdinger in there. But yes, time to head home. Hungry and coffee, I think, is what we need. But anyway, ciao for now.